Hello, I am Unstoppable Tracy, excited to be supporting Unstoppable You, disarming limiting beliefs. I am a #1 international speaker, a transformational leader out of thousands and thousands in business, a decorated athlete in World Cup sailing, downhill skiing, advanced scuba diving, kayaking, fly airplanes, jump out of airplanes. You name it, I've given it a go, even on horseback in Russia. Also, on top of being a decorated athlete, an adventurer climbing the Himalayas of Nepal, the first 4-way amputee. Also captained a tall ship, a 110-foot tall ship, a pirate ship in the Eastern Atlantic. In business, I have busted a pilot strike, supported pharmaceutical reform, and busted Uber into Canada when they said no. Today, we are better together, disarming those limiting beliefs to the best version of you. Let's transform the health of this community, one person at a time. Better together. Hello. You just saw my intro of Unstoppable Tracy, and I am so excited to be greeting all of you here at Bruce TV Channel 1, being unstoppable together. Today has been made possible thanks to the phenomenal Community Living Kincardine District. Community Living Kincardine District, CLKD, and Oasis, the Ontario agencies supporting individuals with special needs. Oasis and Community Living Kincardine District, and all of you can watch on Facebook and YouTube as well when you follow CLKD, Community Living Kincardine District. Also, equally unstoppable is the phenomenal Bruce Power. So excited that they sponsored us. And equally phenomenal is the Frank Cowan also sponsoring us. And of course, Bruce Telecom for this broadcast. I am Unstoppable Tracy, here to talk to you about finding possibilities and making it work, turning the impossible possible, and disrupt the norm of this horrific COVID pandemic. Where are we going to find our opportunities when we feel like we're drowning? And it is such a pleasure to be here with all of you. And you are here because you too love to disarm those limiting beliefs. I make a joke. I spell limiting with a B because I am born limitless. I am born limitless. And that's a bit of a secret. People say, oh, I wonder what happened. Missing her hands, missing both of her legs, as you might have seen in the video. I was born limitless, and all of you were born limitless too. So we're going to share the unstoppable secret, the 3 keys to the unstoppable you, the unstoppable together, in finding opportunities and making the impossible possible, better together. And we are going to transform all of our fears and all of our uncertainties and all those barriers that are massive roadblocks. We're going to crush them together through the power of positivity and through the power of story, because we love to disarm those limiting beliefs, because we are all born limitless. We're all limitless. And so will you please watch this video right before I got Quest for the Gold, right before London 2012. I got Quest for the Gold here up in Ontario. Super exciting, but in this moment, I had no idea. So please join me in watching this. I'm Unstoppable Tracy, Tracy Schmidt. And I started sailing around 12 years old. Turns out, if you try hard enough, anything is possible. Just flabbergasted me. It was so phenomenal to find out a few days later that I received Quest for the Gold. So, 3 keys to the unstoppable version of you as well is to find those opportunities, is to leave nobody left behind, and to exceed uncertainty. Today's show, part 1 of 3, today we're going to tap into, through story, finding opportunities. It is so phenomenal to be in Nepal, in the Himalayas, teaching children as the first four-way amputee, and to go sailing against World Cup sailors in Melbourne, Australia, with 27 able-bodied men and only 3 women, and to be one of those women, but the only one with no hands and no legs. And so finding opportunity and believing you are capable in this roller coaster of emotions. So, some resiliency that I required when I was on those waves and with the wind, when I was in a boat, because I'm missing both of my legs, I'm top heavy. And when I was in a boat, when I would get those rolling waves and a big wind would come, I would fall out of the boat. So, what did I do when I fell out of that boat? Sometimes I just try to climb back in, like a lot of us falling out of our emotional boat with COVID. And I would try again. And some days it would be, I don't know if I can do it anymore. I've tried upside down and backwards. I can't figure it out. But I would keep at it. And every day, all summer, I would try to figure out a way without my hands and without my legs to climb back in that boat. And at the end of the summer, I failed. All my friends, all my able bodied friends, because in the 80s, there had been no other sailors with disabilities. There was no programs for children with disabilities, never mind sailing with disabilities. And so all the other able bodied kids, they all got their white sail level 1. They all passed. And I knew my parts of the boat, I knew my points of sail, but it turns out if you can't stay in the boat, you don't get to pass. You don't get your white sail level 1. And I failed. But in my heart of hearts, and call that young innocence, maybe naivete, who knows? But with the enthusiasm of knowing the parts of the boat and knowing points of sail, I knew I could figure it out. And I went back that next summer and I figured out how to balance in the boat. How I figured it out? It turns out when you look ahead, when you get your head outside of your immediate boat and you look ahead on the water has dark rippling patches where the wind is. So when I could see where the wind is, I learned how to balance in the boat because I could anticipate the wind coming. Or I learned I could sail around it for a calmer, smoother ride. But better yet, I learned how to sail into that wind and sail fast, but harness it and manage it and balance for it. And for me, it's just like COVID, all these waves and unpredictable wind shifts, and just have no idea where we're getting from. When I learned to get my head outside of my condo where I'm living all by myself right now and look ahead and see what's coming and try to be reinventing forward by looking ahead outside of this time. It helps me balance in my boat in my condo. Well, that was me around between 8 and 12 years old learning, and I was able to that second summer get my bronze level 4. So sometimes we'll feel like we're drowning, but it turns out balancing in the boat, hiking on a healing boat, looking ahead outside your boat, those are all bronze level 4 skills. So the second summer, unlike all of my friends, I got my bronze level 4. And that second summer, I caught up. Then I got my white sail level 3, 2, 1. And all of my fabulous friends, they'd all got their white sail level 1 the first year, and they all got their white sail level 2 the second year. Only I got my white seal level 3 and bronze 4 that second summer, even though I failed that first summer. So if you feel like you're drowning, if you feel like you're falling out of your boat of survival skills, you're just doing your advanced study backwards. You're just doing your bronze and then your 3, 2, 1. You're exactly where you need to be. You'll figure out how to balance in your boat and look outside of your boat. Finding opportunities. Where is that wind coming from for you? My wish for you is that the wind is at your back to always fill your sails forward. So propel forward now to my 30s, and I'm in San Diego, and there's a big regatta. It's a North American regatta. I went down for a recreational sailing opportunity, but it turns out it was a North American regatta. There were sailors from Australia and all over North America and the USA and Europe. And it was a big international following of all these sailors because it was right before London 2012. It is around October 2011. And so these people are coming to test out their competition and understand the waters. So I'm in this wonderful sailing race series of races called a regatta. And flying home to Toronto was during Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy, some of you may or may not remember, Hurricane Sandy was devastating the New York subway, right? It flooded the New York subway. In Rhode Island, it washed away homes. So there was a massive amount of damage during Hurricane Sandy in New York, in Rhode Island, all over. And I was in the air, and I thought with all the turbulence we were experiencing flying home to Toronto that I was going to die. And I made it in that moment a declaration. If I live, I'm going to pursue my Paralympic dream. The plane went dead straight. We can make it mean whatever we want. It could mean nothing, but I made it mean that that was a sign. That was a sign telling me I had to pursue my Paralympic dream. And up till this point, I've been working at Shoppers Drug Mart, helping them with pharmaceutical reform. We turned, pharmacy was 55% of the profits. And we said, okay, let's increase beauty items. Let's increase baby items. Let's increase food items. I was the helpful facilitator that helped all of the super smart people come up and bring forward those fabulous ideas. I always say that focus is better than intelligence. So I just helped focus the intelligent people in discovering those ideas. And it was a really rewarding job. But after Hurricane Sandy and surviving, I'm like, I got to pursue my Paralympic dream. So the plane landed, and I was in the airport parking lot in my vehicle. And I started phoning and texting and emailing anybody I could think of in Canada that could help me get on the Canada team for the Paralympics in sailing. They all gave me a reality check. They all said, there is no way. They said you need $10,000 for a boat. You'd need 10,000 hours in practice. You'd need 10,000 hours on top of the 10,000 hours of practice with a Paralympic level coach. They said, Tracy, there's absolutely no way. I'm so glad you did great in San Diego, but there's no way. And I said, okay, if it's impossible, unless. And they looked at me and they said, Tracy, there is no way. I said, I get it, but let's just entertain it. Impossible unless what? And they said, unless you had a magic wand. And I said, okay, let's say I have a magic wand. If I could do a fairy godmother spell with a magic wand, what would I make happen to make it possible? And they said, you would have to magically have Magnus Ligidol in your back pocket. I said, Magnus Ligidol? And they said, yeah, he's a gold Olympian in Miami. He's the only one in all of North America to be a gold Olympian that you have any remote chance of having any time with him. But he mostly trains able bodied people that have already shown gold Olympic potential. They're already getting gold medals in North America and internationally before the Paralympics and the Olympics. And we're talking Olympic sailors and able bodied guys. It's a male dominated sport, both in the Olympics and the Paralympics. And I said, well, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And I hung up the telephone and I Googled Magnus Lidgedal. I Facebooked Magnus, I emailed Magnus, I Twittered Magnus, I LinkedIn Magnus, I phoned Magnus, like every which way, upside down and backwards. I tried to reach out to Magnus Lidgedal. He never replied. I mean, who am I? Some girl in Canada, no medals that he knows of. He's never heard of me before. Plus, I'm a four-way amputee. In the sailing world, even the sailors with disabilities, I'm on the high end. My competitors, they're missing a foot. Some of them are missing a thumb. Some of them are paralyzed from the waist down, but they have big muscular arms. I call those paper cuts because I was born missing my arms and missing both my legs above my knees. Both of my legs are like my small arm. And so Magnus didn't reply. Stephen Covey of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says, seek first before being understood. Seek first to understand before being understood. It's like, I got to get in front of Magnus. He can't understand who I am, this strange person reaching out that has no relationship with him. I'm a nobody in the sailing world at this point. And so I put everything I own, my bed, my wall unit, my dresser, and if it didn't fit in my car, I tried to sell it or donate it. And I gave up everything and I paid 11 months rent with all my savings in advance. And my family and my friends, they love me, but they were worried about me, right? They were saying, Tracy, I don't think this makes sense. And then when they realized I was going anyway, like 5 days later, packing up my car every day for 5 days since I've landed from San Diego, that they eventually got to this point where they were trying to protect me with anger. They're like, well, if you go, I'm not helping. You're on your own with that one. And they were trying to threaten me into staying because they love me. But they didn't believe I should be going. They thought it was crazy. And they didn't think it was a smart idea. I want to retract that sentence. Look at the words we use. So often we use words without even really realizing the microaggressions that we're doing. I said crazy, and that's an old expression. And so I want to switch that up. And they didn't think that I was using all of my faculties of appropriate decision making because I was taken off and spending every single penny to get there. And I didn't even have the attention of Magnus Lidgedal yet. And so off I go, I jump in my car, and they're saying on the telephone, how are you going to fill your gas tank? Without my legs on, I drive with my legs off because both of my legs, they're like sitting on triangles. People don't realize that. And so I don't drive with my legs on. So I got out of my car and I slide down without my legs, and on the ends of my stumps, I walk to the back of the pump. I've crossed the border in Canada. I'm in USA and I'm trying to fill up my car. And I said, I'll figure it out. I'll find an opportunity. And, sitting in my car, looking around, batting my eyelashes, nobody was helping me with my car. Nobody was helping me get gas. They didn't have full serve where I was. And so I slid out of my car and I go to fill up my gas tank. And of course, the pump is over my head at the time. And I'm filling up and doing the best I can to get the gas out of the gas pump and put it in my car. And there was a truck driver that kindly came over and gave me a hand. Do you know, for the next 5 days, every time I got out of my car, somebody jumped in and gave me a hand with my gas tank. And you know what else? I can do it. But it was so amazing that people came and stepped up, because when you're finding an opportunity and you're going all in, people see you going all in and they support your journey because you're all in. Sitting in my car wasn't going to get the support I needed. I needed to jump in and make a difference in my community. I arrived in Miami, Florida after 5 days of driving. I pull up to the boatyard where Magnus works, and I'm so excited. I see a big sign and it says, "Shake a leg." It says, "Shake a leg." That had to be serendipity if I ever saw one. First, there was the Hurricane Sandy sign, and now there's "Shake a leg." And every truck driver down there giving me gas help. Shake a leg. I mean, no legs at all in there. And the boatyard where Magnus work is called Shake a Leg. I thought that was perfect. And I look around, guess who isn't there? Magnus. Well, it's really late at night. It's dark out. And I'm like, okay, I got to find an opportunity. But Magnus isn't here now. And I look over and I see a couple of multi-million-dollar yachts. Now there's an opportunity to find. Holy tamale. You know who you surround yourself with? You surround yourself with people like Bruce Telecom and Community Living Kincardine District or Oasis and all of our fabulous sponsors like Bruce Power. Who you surround yourself with is who you become. I thought, okay, if I want to surround myself with multimillionaires so that I become a millionaire, right? So I took my car and I drove it and I parked it and I hid it in the boatyard between two multi-million-dollar yachts. And I slept in my car that night. When I woke up in the morning, 5:30 in the morning with dawn, guess who was there? 5:30 in the morning, because it was dawn, because I slept in my car. Turns out I don't need any sympathy sleeping in my car. I was exactly where I needed to be. Because I was in my car, I woke up with dawn and I saw Magnus. Magnus Ligidal was washing boats. I got so excited. I jumped out of my car and I ran over to Magnus Ligidal washing his boats. And he's washing the boats away. And I'm all excited. And I'm like, Magnus, I'm Tracy from Toronto. I'm here to pursue my Paralympic dream. I'm so sorry that I tweeted you and Facebooked you and emailed you and phoned you. I didn't mean to be harassing, but I'm Tracy from Toronto, here to pursue my Paralympic dream. And that's what I was met with. A whole lot of silence. Magnus had slightly different energy than me, busy washing his boat. I had forgotten. Seek first to understand before being understood. You find opportunities by seeking understanding of others first. Magnus was washing a boat, right? So I picked up a sponge and I started washing the boat. I washed and waxed Magnus' boat along with him. Anybody recognize this action from another movie? Karate Kid? Well, we wax boats too. And I washed and waxed Magnus's boat 5:30 in the morning for 3 months. Washing and waxing boats for 3 months before Magnus finally said, "Come on, let's go sailing." 3 months of washing and waxing boats. So you got to put yourself out there and find that opportunity and go all in with those people that you're surrounding yourself, those wonderful multi-million-dollar people that are either multi-million in soul and heart, like the Kincardine Living Community District and Oasis, and like Bruce Power, and like our Frank superstar sponsors, as well as our Bruce Telecom, all of these big people that are millionaires in heart and soul by sponsoring today. Who you surround yourself with is who you become. Who is your gold Olympian for a wish, a project, a dream, a lifeline that you are creating in keeping your job, in creating an entrepreneurial job, in finding resources for somebody you love in your life, like your community, your neighbors, being unstoppable together. The three keys to the unstoppable version of you, the limitless secret. You too are limitless, is finding opportunities. And at bobsledding speed, I love bobsledding too, with three keys of finding opportunity, leaving nobody behind, and exceeding uncertainty at bobsledding speed, instead of all these months of COVID in the pandemic, of not finding your unstoppable solutions at bobsledding speed in 30 minutes with us in these three-part 30-minute episodes. You too will be unstoppable. And you know those pieces are the solutions. Believe you are capable. Feeling uncertain is no excuse for inaction. Embrace possibility, even when you don't know how, when you feel like you're falling out of your boat. Don't avoid failure. And you jump. You jump into those waters, you jump out of that airplane, but you make sure you know who packed your parachute. I know who I align myself with. I want to say, you have the grit, you have the perseverance. And I was born this way as a four-way amputee right from birth. If I can do it, you can do it. And a little bit of tough love. I like to say, no excuses, no limits. The tough love with excuses is that I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know who is not well. I don't know what jobs you're struggling with. I don't know what's happening with your teenagers locked up in their bedrooms. I can't begin to imagine, and I don't even want to put words on some of the things that you're facing and working with. I also know for myself, when I live a life, no matter how realistic my reason is, if I live a life of no excuses, I get to live a life of no limits. I got to grow up as the girl that failed in sailing, falling out of that boat, to being a World Cup sailor. In December of 2015, not only did I get to the London Paralympic trials, as well as the Rio Paralympic trials, I also got to Melbourne, Australia World Cup Olympic class qualifiers, right along with 27 able bodied men and three women. And everybody had their hands and their feet. I'm the girl that failed falling out of the boat that first summer. But now I got to be the World Cup sailor. And even if I came last, 30th out of 30, I would be a World Cup sailor in 30th place. But I didn't come last in one of those races. I came seventh. Seventh against 27 able bodied men. If you feel like you're falling out of your boat, you're exactly where you need to be. Just sometimes we're doing our advanced study backwards. First our struggles, and then we skyrocket to World Cup solutions. Even when we don't know how, we embrace that possibility and we find those opportunities. It has been so fun. This does not have to be the last time we speak. Please check us out, Community Living Kincardine, as well as Oasis. You can find on Facebook and YouTube with Community Living Kincardine District. CLKD. And you'll find our Facebook and you'll find our YouTube. And please also check out Unstoppable Tracy. And a big shout out and celebration to our extraordinary sponsors. We've got Bruce Power and we have Frank as another incredible sponsor. It is such an extraordinary time being with all of you. Frank Cowan Company, Bruce Telecom, Bruce Power, Oasis, and Community Living Kincardine District. And we are unstoppable together with all of you fabulous souls. Unstoppable Tracy saying goodbye for now.